right, hey again, everyone. Channel Futures editorial director Craig Galbraith here. Excited for another edition of Channel Futures TV. Today we have the opportunity to talk to two fine gentlemen. One of them is Kevin Canarium, CRO of Clary. The other is Joe Vitallone, CRO of Extreme Networks at Clary Customer. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great, Craig.
Hey, Craig. Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be talking with you guys today. So, Kevin, let me start with you. You know, a lot of companies are still using spreadsheets, CRM, BI tools to run their business. So can you explain why that's often a hindrance?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the CRM was really built to store data, right? To be your transactional system. And it's been augmented with Excel and BI to try and actually understand what's happening within the CRM and across the business. Where we really started to differentiate is we look at not just what is happening in that system of record, but what's happening across all of your revenue critical systems, the systems of engagement, the way your teams interact with customers, et cetera. And we try and bring all of that data together. And where we really start to differentiate is Clary is a revenue database, right? It's very different from a CRM database. And that revenue database, we apply things like AI and machine learning. So we not only can look at what is happening today, but we can compare today to the past so that you can make better decisions on how things look. And you now have the ability to look in the future using predictive engines, et cetera. So to essentially purpose-built to run revenue workflows on top of this revenue database. So that's the two big differentiators from the status quo.
Love the advancements in this industry. So, Joe, Extreme Networks was once running its business in spreadsheets and CRM. Can you speak to your experience using those and what it's like now having adopted this modern technology?
Yeah, well, when I came on board, Kevin was one of the first people I met. So it's been 3 years and we had just adopted Clary. Prior to that, I ran all of my businesses over 30 years on spreadsheets. And Clary gives you a common database to manage from. With spreadsheets, the experience was the nomenclature was different. It wasn't dynamic. You're managing a global enterprise. It's not timely. It's not efficient. And it didn't give you predictability at all into the business. And so as a CRO, it was very challenging, especially as a publicly traded CRO where accountability is so important. So Clary gave us that common tool with a single set of nomenclature. So everybody was talking the same from Italy all the way to the United States into Asia Pacific and so on. And so that was the key thing. So when I adopted it for the first time 3 years ago, when I came to Extreme, I saw a significant advantage in the market, and then we just accelerated from there.
So important. So, Joe, you've also talked in the past about building and hiring to forecast. That can be hard without the right visibility and predictability. Can you expand a little on the business impact of having a more accurate forecast?
Yeah, good point. So we hired based on, we're such a fast growing company now. Since, I joined 3 years ago, our market cap has gone up 10x. And so our hiring has been a big result of that. And so in having predictability into your forecast, which allows your teams then to hire for the growth and reduce as it may be. You may have areas that you don't see a strong forecast and you move those resources to a different part of the business where you do see growth. And so you manage both ways. It scales both up and down. And to be able to see quarters out so that as you make these big investments, it takes time to ramp people, get them trained, make them productive. But as you start to see your pipeline and your bookings forecast grow, you can hire to that forecast. And so it's been really key in terms of us building our growth engine.
I can imagine. So, Kevin, you're also a CRO, of course. So what metrics are you typically looking at to ensure you're on the right path to forecast?
Yeah, great questions. And so like Joe, I've actually been running the business here at Clary for almost 20 quarters. And I joined when we were a small company, and through all the growth that we've had and multiple acquisitions. In this environment that we're in today, key things I'm looking at are pipeline coverage. So do I have the coverage to hit my target? 2, how is that early stage pipeline progressing? Is it moving through stages? and I'm looking at, are we engaged with the right persona, right? Through, and then I'm looking at, do we have path to closure, right? And in this environment, the buying committees have gotten bigger, right? So ensuring that teams have gotten across. So the big things for me are really top of funnel pipeline coverage, stage progression, and then opportunity maturity so that I know that I'm actually going to hit my target or exceed it.
Yeah, so similar for you then, Joe, also as a CRO, now using modern technology. What metrics are you paying attention to on a daily, weekly, or even monthly basis?
Well, everything that Kevin said, and I would add to what he said that I'm highly visible into the big deal list. So I go through our biggest 20 deals and I look at our CRM score to make sure that it's high, that we truly do have the relationship with the customer, that we're meeting with the right persona, that we have escalated to the highest level of the business, that we're working both vertically and horizontally across the company. And if I see that in the deal by deal, then I feel really good as a CRO in forecasting that piece of business. Let's say it's $20 million. That's a needle mover. And so I want to make sure that as a CRO that I'm making a good call on that piece of the business. And if you go down 20 deals, that covers a pretty nice piece of your pipeline. And then to Kevin's point, if my coverage is strong, I feel really good about making other decisions about the business, like hiring, promoting people, all of those things that follow along with a really strong, bookings forecast.
Yeah, and these same metrics not only apply to new business and not only apply to expansion, but they actually apply to renewals when you're driving a SaaS business too, knowing that you've got command of that renewal.
Yeah. And I would even add one more thing to that is that, my business, we have products, we have services, we have software, and we have subscription. So we manage 4 key elements of our business all through Clary, and we get one single read in the business. And so we're able to forecast both bookings and what spits out for us as revenue down the line.
All excellent points. So finally, Joe, for you, the idea of bringing on more modern technology can really be a bit of a scary thought for some. I wonder if you could speak to any fear you may have had and how you were able to overcome it.
The analytics part of it, because, it's a calculation algorithm that's done, the machine learning, AI that's built into Clary, which is the genius in the product, is something that you have to learn to trust. And after all of a sudden you hit a few forecasts and Clary is dead accurate, it gives you really, it makes you sleep good at night knowing that something's got your back. I used to be Clary. I used to have to take those spreadsheets. I used to have to try to do my own math and my own forecasting and figure out who was sandbagging and who was predictable in terms of forecasting the business. And Clary does a lot of that for you. And as the history goes on, it gets better and better. And as Clary learns your business, she begins to forecast that predictability, and you can make pretty good decisions based on that analytic.
Joe, Kevin, thanks for your time today on Channel Futures TV. It's been great learning a little bit about the Clary platform. Thank you.